What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. The road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams this summer takes us back to Conference USA, where we are in Kennesaw, Georgia, to talk about the Kennesaw State Owls, the new addition to the FBS last season. It did not go quite as planned, and there was not a lot of success to be found. However, with a lot of returning production, with a new head coach, and with increased optimism, will Kennesaw State be a surprise in 2025? My name is Nate Pope, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate. Thank you all so much for clicking on the video and for helping to support the channel. Support it further by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell. Prediction season is almost done. We just have a few videos left, right around a week, so be sure you don't miss a single one of those videos, and you don't want to miss a video during the season either, so make sure you turn on the bell. Hey, I am a sports media graduate delving into the professional world of the industry, so if you want to see all the cool stuff I get to do while still being up to date on what goes on this YouTube channel, then please give me a follow at TailgateNate29 on Twitter, Instagram, and feel free to even email me at tailgatenate29@gmail.com. But regardless of how you support me or the channel, I want to thank you all so much for doing so. Jerry Mack is your new head coach for the Kennesaw State Owls this season. He was the former running back coach over with the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, has served as the running back coach with Tennessee, but the highest ranking position that he's had, he has been a head coach before. That was at North Carolina Central 2014 to 2017, but besides that, he's been offensive coordinators at Arkansas Pines Bluff and Rice, the Rice job being the most recent one back in 2020 before he took that running back job over at Tennessee. So this is the guy that's been around, has some pretty good experience, and maybe some slight questions on how he'll perform here at the FBS level. But based off all the talent Kennesaw State has got this year, this is a team that, to a lot of people's expectations, surprised last year. I didn't think they'd win a single game. They won 2. You could easily see that number increase this year. How do we do preview predictions here on the channel? Well, we are going to go through a roster overview, offense over here to the left, defense over here to the right, and at the end of the video, we will dive on into the Owl football schedule, where I will give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. And this video overall is here to tell all of you what I think about the Owls in 2025. Now, before we do get started, you look down below me. Returning production numbers are, according to ESPN, they factor in transfer portal additions up to a certain percentage. And what's more, you look down even below that, your recruiting and transfer portal ranks for the class of 2025 are according to 24/7 Sports. And yes, that is correct, the 180th number. That is because that the 24/7 recruiting and portal ranks include the FCS teams as well. So out of all FBS, FCS, and I think even some Division II teams in there as well, Kennesaw State ranks 180th out, or I should say, in football. Your offensive coordinator this year is Mitch Militello, and hopefully I did say that last name correctly. Let's take a look at what you got talent-wise. So before we dive on into Mitch Militello's offense, you look down below me at that 74% returning production number. You recall all the teams that we have covered so far and all the teams that we have yet to cover. You just look at the overall returning production leaderboard. That is the 5th highest value of returning production in the entire country, and I think their defense is like number 2 or 3. They have a ton of guys that are coming back, albeit it is not at the quarterback position in the way that you would think. Your quarterback room is going to be revamped this year, but it is not because your starting quarterback is inherently gone. Your starting quarterback will no longer be your starting quarterback this year, as Davis Bryson is now moving to play wide receiver. Quarterback play and just the offense in general was a massive issue for Kennesaw State last year. They did not get anywhere. I think they might have barely even gotten over 250 yards per game. It just was not a good, productive offensive year, and the quarterback position was a big reason to that. Bryson threw for 1,500 yards, just about, 6 touchdowns, but 10 picks. Overall, this passing staff, right around 52% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. You have got to see some better play this year, and I think they're going to. 2 guys enter through the portal that I think will battle out for this job. Amari Odom, and the guy that I think is going to win it, you saw him on the thumbnail screen, that is the likes of Dexter Williams. Dexter Williams has played Power 4 football before. He played so at Indiana. Last year with Georgia Southern, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. I think he is going to exponentially increase what this Kennesaw State offense is going to be able to do, because the quarterback play is just going to be so much better. You can make the point that Kennesaw State had the worst quarterback play in the country last year, and it's going to get a whole lot better this season. Your top 2 rushers do leave, so you don't get returning production in that standpoint. Top 2 rushers from last year were Michael Benefield, who had 542 yards and 5 touchdowns. You also do lose Qua Ashley, who is transferred over to Ball State. He was also the team's 2nd leading receiver and the team leader in receptions as well. So that just kind of shows you what this offense looked like. Yeesh, it just was not a pretty offense last year. So you do use the transfer portal to your advantage again. Coleman Bennett is going to be coming in from Rice. He also played a little bit at Bucknell. And then you're also going to get Chase Belcher coming in here from West Georgia, obviously an in-state transfer up from the D2 level. That was a really good piece over there for West Georgia last season. And then you are going to get Alexander Diggs coming back, only 9 carries for him last year, and he'll probably be outplayed by Bennett and Belcher throughout the course of the season. Your lead receiver in Blake Bohannon. That is my bad. I didn't tell you what Blake Bohannon did. Well, Blake Bohannon is gone. He was your leading receiver last year. 24 catches for him for, nope, wrong stat. There we go. 289 yards, no touchdowns. Again, this is the passing offense that just didn't get a whole lot going. And again, an offense as a whole that was not great last year. However, the rest of your wide receiver pieces are going to return. And with improved quarterback play this year from, even if Omari Odom is going to get that starting job, which I don't think he will, he still is going to give a much better quarterback play than what Davis Bryson was able to do last year. So now you also have to factor in that Davis Bryson is going to be a receiver this year, albeit we'll see how much he plays. Right now, according to ourlads.com, he is a projected 3rd stringer, but I could definitely see him making his way up that depth chart as well. Christian Moss, Gabriel Benyard, Tykeem Wallace, Jaden Robinson, Neville Dean, as well as a transfer in Jordan Jackson, also coming over from West Georgia. Again, another really good piece to that D2 side. So there are some good pieces still here, I believe, but you got to see that quarterback play improve from last season. A lead tight end last season, Carson Kent. Well, he's going to be transferring off to Oklahoma. He really is a pretty darn good player and led the team in touchdown receptions last year. In fact, had half of them. Told you earlier they only had 6 passing touchdowns, which obviously means they had the same number of receiving touchdowns. 3 touchdowns for Kent on 18 catches, my apologies, and 217 yards. So you're going to be losing him there as well. But the tight end room, you still, I think, have some solid pieces here. But overall, it's going to be a bit of a mystery as far as your depth goes. Probably not a massive mystery that Jackson Manning probably going to end up being that starting tight end for you, but beyond him, pull some names out of hats. There are a ton of guys that can step up and play good minutes for Kennesaw State this year, just a matter of who wins those battles in camp. Only one O-line starter is going to return, so you have a lot of portal pieces coming in to help try to fill that gap, right? Renee Miller, Cameron Williams is going to be your center. He's a transfer coming over from Alabama A&M. You also do have Brandon Best that is going to be coming up here as well. So overall, again, going to be a rebuilt offensive line. It was not horrible last season, albeit the numbers might be a little skewed because this offense really did not have the ball all that much. So when you overall take a look at this offense, again, it was bad last year. It might have been the worst offense in college football last season. This is a team, however, that when I take a look at Kennesaw State, I think it's going to see significant improvement offensively. Now, their skill position players don't inherently blow me away. I'm not thrilled with any of their skill position guys, although I think that they have some good talent coming in through the portal. Having all of those receivers come back is going to help, but the biggest thing is this quarterback play is just going to have to get better, guys, and I think it's going to. Dexter Williams, I think, is a really dynamic piece, and you could even see Dexter Williams escape and extend plays outside of the pocket as well. I definitely think he has that in his game. So this is a Kennesaw State team that, look, man, as long as that quarterback play improves like I think it's going to, you're, I think, automatically going to see a jump in the offensive play this year. Again, you return some solid production offensively. Great, cool. Your defensive returning production is really where I think Kennesaw State's going to make their money. And albeit they do have to see some improvement on the defensive side in order to find the necessary success to take that next step forward as an FBS team and be able to compete at a higher and higher level, because you are in the highest level of college football now. You got used to it last year. Great. It's time to put pedal to the floor. It's time to have that lead foot and get on the gas and go. The defense, led by Mark Mattioli, hopefully again said that last name right, I think it's going to be a big point of emphasis for Kennesaw State this year. Obviously, the quarterback play is important. The defense has a lot of returning pieces. It has got to step up and be able to get a lot of chemistry formed together. Most of your losses this year, though, are going to occur in the front seven, and they are going to come from the defensive line. However, you do have a lot of returning starters, such as guys on the defensive line that I will mention right here. Guys on the defensive line include Jaden Grimes, Tylen Dunlap, even at the bandit position, Juan-Darian Silas, who you very well could consider a linebacker at that bandit position as well. And honestly, yeah, let's save Biles for a minute. Let's put him in the linebacker room, because I think this team likes to play more of a 3-3-5. Now, you do get some transfers coming in to help on the defensive front, so transfers are going to join those starters in the D-line. Marcus Patterson is coming over from Western Kentucky, where he had 21 tackles for the Hilltoppers last year. He'll be a really good edge rusher for this team. Mike Jones, Roderick Daniels are some other transfers that come in. Roderick Daniels is over from Liberty. Mike Jones is over from Virginia Union. In your linebacking room, I think your linebacking room is excellent. You have a ton of really, really good pieces here. Donelius Johnson is going to be coming back to this defense. He was a massive player for the team last year and was the leading tackler. 89 tackles, 3.5 sacks, was tied for the team lead, and overall just a very disruptive defensive player. Again, he's got some really good pieces in the defensive second unit coming back this year. You're going to have Garland Benyard. Again, the aforementioned Juan-Darian Silas is going to be coming back, and even some of these depth pieces as well. You want to throw in the spur position? Sure, why not? Jaden Kimball is a true sophomore that's going to return and be an excellent player for this unit as well. So you take a look at this linebacking room, I think it's made up of some good pieces. And what's more, when you get to your defensive backfield, albeit your leading tackling defensive back in Sidney Porter, who had 66 tackles, was second overall on the team, is going to be gone. A lot more of the secondary is going to come back. Your leader in passes defended last season was a guy by the name of Tyler Hallam. You're going to be getting him back. You're going to be getting your interception leader back from last year. That was Jericho Washington, as well as two other starters out there at the rover position, which is kind of like their strong safety, Mylan Jones. You're going to get Isaac Paul, and even some good transfers are going to enter into this back end of the defense as well. Now, as far as the special teams goes, you have a new yet experienced punter that's going to take over, and Britton Williams. Or I should say, you have a new yet experienced punter and kicker. So new pieces in the special teams room this season. Should have read ahead a little bit more, because, hey, kickers are people too. We got to show them some love. So when I take, I know I ran through this defense pretty darn fast here, but again, really not that many losses. Not a whole lot else to talk about. They do have some really, really good players, but overall, you take a look at this Kennesaw State team. I think winning 2 games last year did surprise some people. It definitely surprised me. I just didn't feel like this was a team built for the FBS quite yet. The way they are currently constructed for 2025, I think they're a hell of a lot closer. In fact, they might even be there. You look at the middle tier in Conference USA, and I've said this in all my Conference USA videos, the Kennesaw State's going to be one of those teams that's going to compete. I think they have a lot of nice talent here with a lot of returning production, and I think Jerry Mack is going to be a pretty solid head coach here for this program. So now we got to take a look at the Kennesaw State 2025 football schedule, but before we dive into this, we look down below me at some odds courtesy of FanDuel. Again, these odds are current. They are as of recording this video. As always, they're subject to change, but I like to show them because it gives some nice context to see how good the odds makers think Kennesaw State is going to be this season. They do have one of the longer odds to win Conference USA, and obviously it's going to be a long shot for this team to get into the college football playoff. We all recognize that. It's probably also going to be a long shot for this team to get into the postseason, to get 6 wins. They're sitting at 3.5 right now, which I honestly really like that total. Again, even though you have a lot of returning talent, there is also a lot of new, especially offensively for this team in the quarterback, running back, and offensive line positions. Not to mention you bring in a new head coach that has not been a head coach since 2017, and this will be the highest level of football he has ever coached. And it's going to be very prevalent early in the season when you have to face off against 2 Power 4 teams. You got one that probably is not going to fend out so well, and you got one that, probably going to be one of the better Power 4 teams out there. You start with the not so great one. However, I still think you drop this game to Wake Forest. Wake Forest just doesn't have the talent level to be able to compete in the ACC right now, but Jake Dickert is a really good head coach that I think is going to figure it out in Winston-Salem eventually. It just is not going to be this year. So I think even though Wake Forest struggles, again, you can say the same thing about Kennesaw State. I don't think the talent level is quite here yet to fully be ready to go and compete in a bowl game at the FCS level, or at the FBS level, I should say. They may be bowl eligible this season. I forget if it's a 1 or 2 year sort of transition period. But again, it's going to take a lot for Kennesaw State to even get into a bowl game. Probably mention something like that a little bit later. And then, okay, maybe there's a slight chance that you can go off and pull that upset against Wake Forest. I just don't see you winning this one against Indiana. As long as Curt Cignetti is there, Indiana is a team that is going to stick around at the top of the Power 4 level and near the top of the Big Ten Conference. They still have Elijah Surratt. You're going to get Fernando Mendoza from the transfer portal. He was at Cal, and I love that portal pickup for Curt Cignetti and company. Not to mention a lot of heavy hitters return on defense. Again, just Indiana football's not going to go away because Mr. Cignetti is there. So that's going to be a win for Indiana, and Kennesaw State starts out the year 0-2. I do think they bounce back and beat Merrimack. Again, I think Kennesaw State has started to elevate themselves up to that level of a power, or not of a Power 4 team, of an FBS level team, especially with all the portals they get in, especially Dexter Williams coming in through the transfer portal. He's a guy that has seen plenty of FBS time, had time at the Power 4 level. Kennesaw State, I think, while Merrimack can push them around a little bit here, I do think Kennesaw State will pull away their first win of the season in that contest right there. Arkansas State and Middle Tennessee. You got, actually looking at the schedule, and I don't think this is incorrect. I do believe this is the Kennesaw State team that has 4 straight home games. I'm going to fact check myself because, again, you just don't see that often. But I'm about 99% sure that that is correct. This is a Kennesaw State team that, look, if they want to start ripping off some wins here and be able to build some momentum, this is definitely the stretch of the season to do it because you're at home. But you also have to recognize Kennesaw State does not have the home field advantage that other teams in their conference do. And it's also against some pretty tough opponents. You're going to be playing Arkansas State out of the Sun Belt. And I just frankly do not see Kennesaw State's defense keeping up with what Arkansas State can throw at them offensively. Jalen Raynor's a really good quarterback. Jaquez Cross is a really good running back. And you go ahead and you take a look at the wide receiver position with Corey Rucker and a lot of other good pieces. Arkansas State is going to be a problem this year in the Sun Belt. And I think they can absolutely, if things go well, they can go and compete for not only a division, but a conference title as well. Yes, I did say division, as there are still divisions in the Sun Belt. I think Arkansas State's going to be a good squad. Kennesaw State will not be able to handle their offense. I keep betting on Middle Tennessee to do something, and okay, look, I highlighted this one in green. I think Middle Tennessee is the more talented team. I do think Middle Tennessee is a team that can finally put the pieces together under Derek Mason this year, and I do like Nick Vattiato at the quarterback position. There's going to be a moment where Middle Tennessee falters, and I think it's going to come fairly early in the season. Again, I know this is not super early, but you also take a look at Kennesaw State, right? This is a team that, quite frankly, I think has improved too much talent-wise to be able to have the same result that they did last year. And again, you look at the middle of Conference USA, FIU, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, New Mexico State, UTEP. You can throw a ton of other teams into that mix as well. But again, those are going to be your main ones, right? The mid-tier of Conference USA is going to be stupidly competitive and very unpredictable. That's my opinion for this year. And I think some of the unpredictability is going to happen here early. I think Jerry Mack is going to fit into the program well. I think Kennesaw State's going to have a good game plan. Nick Vattiato might be able to torch this defense, but Middle Tennessee did lose a lot of weapons to the transfer portal, and even though I'm betting on them to having a much better season than they did last year, Kennesaw State can definitely still pull off this upset, and that's exactly what I have them doing. However, even after the bye week and having a weekday game at home, Louisiana Tech is more talented than Middle Tennessee. The only question with La Tech is, can Sonny Coombe really do it with this squad? And is he good enough to do it as a head coach? Louisiana Tech has had expectations of being a highly competitive team in Conference USA for quite some time now, and Sonny Coombe has not been able to deliver. This year, he has to. Louisiana Tech has got some good returning talent, both offensively and defensively, that I think will be able to outmatch what Kennesaw State has got, and that is a loss. So, hey, you already have matched your season win total from last year. You got 2 wins through the first 6 games, but you're going to go on a tiny losing streak here. Notice I said tiny. You get another bye week and got to go on the road to play Florida International. The Panthers also have a really dangerous quarterback that I think can really shred this defense, and that's a guy by the name of K'Wan Jenkins. Now, again, his weapons, they're not necessarily going to blow you away. It's kind of like Middle Tennessee having Nick Vadiato there at quarterback. The weapons are not going to blow you away, but the quarterback is going to be outstanding and spectacular. FIU has got some solid pieces coming back defensively as well, and even though they got to improve, I think FIU will beat Kennesaw State there on the, or I should say, FIU beats Kennesaw State at home. Obviously, a road game for the Owls. You get your second straight Tuesday game when you have to go play the UTEP Miners. UTEP is a team that I really like the direction they're building. I like the direction that Scotty Walden is taking this team. I am really going to like, I think, this passing game this year. Skylar Locklear has 3 wide receivers that are all going to be coming back from last year, and he's got chemistry with them. So I think that's going to gel really well for UTEP this season, is that pass game. Defensively, though, there is still a lot of work. And albeit, again, this was a Kennesaw State offense that was not good last year. It's going to have to be so much better, but I just quite simply think it's going to be better this year. And I think seeing a guy like Dexter Williams might not sit well with some of these Conference USA defenses that are also looking to improve. Whichever defense here can come up with the bigger stop and be able to take control of the game in the late stages, I think is going to win this one. And again, welcome to the unpredictability and the chaos that is the mid-tier of Conference USA. UTEP, I think, is going to go down here, and Kennesaw State nabs this one at home. Next couple games are on the road. In fact, you finish your season, 3 out of the 4 games are on the road. And that's what happens when you have a 4-game homestand right there in the middle of your season. At New Mexico State, I think is a loss. New Mexico State is going to get better this year. Logan Fife is going to come in and play quarterback for him. And this was a team that really was reeling after Diego Pavia left. Their quarterback play was awful last year. It's going to be a lot better this season when Logan Fife comes in. Some good defensive pieces are coming back, as well as just some really good transfers. And I think Tony Sanchez is going to help this team build in the right direction this year. So that's a loss to New Mexico State. Even though Jacksonville State loses everybody from last season, you're looking at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive pieces, and their head coach in Rich Rodriguez has gone back over to his old stomping grounds in Morgantown. And you're getting a head coach that has never been a head coach before, and I believe his name is Charles Kelly. This is a Jacksonville State team that had a strong foundation set. The talent level is still one of the higher ones in Conference USA, and I think they are still going to be one of the better teams that this conference has to offer. So that's going to be a loss right there to Jacksonville State, and then you're going to end up losing the game to Liberty, even without Quentin Cooley, Caden Salter, some other good defensive pieces. There's still a ton of really good talent there, and they probably have the best head coach in the conference in Jamie Chadwell. So whether it's a 3-win or a 4-win season, that is determined by this game here against Missouri State. I think Missouri State's going to be in the position that Kennesaw State was in last year. I just think they really are going to need to adjust to the FBS level. They need to get that talent level up to FBS standard. Kind of like what you're seeing Kennesaw State do this year, I think you're going to see Missouri State do next year. But much like last year from Kennesaw State, it being a struggle, it's not going to be a struggle in the exact same way. Missouri State's going to see their own ups and own downs. But again, if you were to ask me which of the 2 teams are more prepared for the FBS level, I would tell you Delaware. I think Delaware is a little bit more prepared. Missouri State is a team that I think is really going to struggle this year. And this is going to be a win for Kennesaw State. So I told you they're losing to Liberty. That means you got a 4-win season for the Owls and 3 wins in conference. Guys, that is a massive step forward. And with all the chaos that can go on in Conference USA, there's absolutely a path for this team to get into a bowl game. It probably involves beating Florida International, Probably also involves beating New Mexico State, but I think that's at the very top. There's still a lot of building to do, and I don't expect a team with a first-year head coach who hasn't been a head coach since 2017, mind you, that also is trying to build in the FBS ranks and develop that talent level. I just don't see them having a fantastic, successful build up at least this year. Maybe they can in the future start to build toward that bowl game. Right now, I think they get a huge win with hitting that over on the win total and increasing what they did last year. Kennesaw State will be a better team than last, but in terms of the conversation of college football, overall still not that great. They will see their tons of struggles. Conference USA is going to be competitive. I got 4-8 for the Owls this year, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hey, remember to play hard but tailgate harder, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.